Hey everyone, this is John O from Veracity with another video in my video series. This one on the Activity Explorer and really how to deal with activities that are not going to communicate. And I'll explain what I mean when I'm kind of showing the demo here. I don't really have any slides. I'm going to use this main slide just to kind of go over a couple of points. Also, I'll include some links in the description where I've covered some of these concepts and tools in other videos as well. So let's talk about an xAPI statement. In this case, let's just say John O viewed page 1. So in that case, actor, verb, object. Actor is John O. Verb is viewed. The object is page 1. John O viewed page 1. And typically, what you can do is say, even though the object is page 1, we have a parent context activity that is lesson 1. So we know that this hierarchy starts to exist when we get a statement about page 1. It has a single parent that is this lesson 1. And then let's say later down the road, we get a John O as the actor, verb completed, John O completed, object, lesson 1. So now our object is lesson 1, not the page, and in this case, it has a context activity parent back to the course. So now we've built this part of the hierarchy. Because the LRS builds a canonical definition, we already know that page 1 is the child of lesson 1 because of that parent relationship, and we know lesson 1 is a child of this course. So we built this whole part of the hierarchy, and you can see that can happen here and squiggly lines everywhere on this page. But you get the idea. The data itself, you build this hierarchy just one piece at a time. When I get a statement about this page, it has this lesson as an example, and I build this part of the hierarchy. And as you have statements about each one of the things in this hierarchy, they reference their parent, which allows you to build this overall structure. So here's what this video is about. What happens when you get data about pages, John O viewed the page, and you get data about the course, John O completed the course, but you don't get data directly about the lesson. So what happens is we get data about a page. The page is part of the lesson, so we build this part of the hierarchy right here, but we never get data about lessons. So we never link up a lesson to a course. And you get orphaned lessons in your Activity Explorer. And that's where our Activity Explorer piece comes into this. Like, what does this look like in the system? All right, so let's just get into a little bit of a demonstration. I don't want to make this one too long, but I'm already headed there that way. So let me see if I can speed this up a little bit in a demonstration. Can't find the windows that I have. Sorry, bear with me 1 second here. All right. Okay, so this is a LRS. It's called Tester 1. And I'm just going to use this to submit some data using xAPI Lab. I have a tab open here, but it's also under Tools, xAPI Lab. I'll include another link in the description that talks about xAPI Lab and what it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send data from our sample user testerson. Our testerson user is going to complete, their verb is going to be complete. And what are they going to complete? So in this first case, they're completing a question 1, 2, 3. And if we scroll down further, I've added some context. I know it's hard to see, but it has an apparent that's assessment example. I didn't fill it out. Let me fill it out. 1, 2, 3. And its ID is assessment example 1, 2, 3. So basically, this is the bottom end of that chain. We have a question, and that question has a parent that's an assessment. So let's go ahead and send that statement. All right, great. And now I have a view of the data here in the statement viewer. And the first thing, or the last thing I just sent was this testerson completed example question 1, 2, 3. And remember, we said its parent is that assessment. If I were to go into the Activity Explorer, and we'll just open over here, you can see I have this assessment in here, and it has this example question 1, 2, 3 as part of it. But we don't know if it's in the data science course or some other course. It's just this hanging assessment. Well, if we go back into lab, and now this time, let's send a statement about the assessment. So instead of the question, kept the, I have the cheat sheet with the URLs, so I don't have to remember them. We're going to send data about the assessment, call it example assessment 123, example assessment 123. Okay, great. And now it's going to have a different parent where the question had the assessment as the parent. The assessment is going to have the course that it's in as the parent. Let me grab that guy and paste them. All right, great. All right, so let's send that statement. Take a look again in our statements. You can see now we have another one where our test Testerson completed the assessment this time. And this, in this case, we have the context parent that's the overall course. So if we go back into our Activity Explorer, you'll see now that we have it's got a question mark because I didn't give it a type. It doesn't know it's a course. But anyway, now we have course 123. Course 123 has example assessment 123, and example assessment has the one question on it. We've built this hierarchy one statement at a time by saying this thing has this parent, and this thing has this parent. Going back to our example, what happens if that second statement, what happens if we never get data about this example assessment? So we're never able to link the assessment to the course. And I'll show you the way that you handle that. This is a Veracity specific interpretation of parent context activities, but it works well for us. So let's kind of build this up from scratch again. I'm going to go back and I'm going to create a different hierarchy. We're going to call this example XYZ. Assessment example XYZ, just so we have some difference here. Go up to the top here and paste in the assessment or the question. Sorry, we're tracking a question here that has an assessment as its parent. So again, I am completing this question XYZ. Now let's assume that the assessment, unlike our last time that we went through this, is not going to track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another activity to the parent array. And I'm going to make, there we go, there. Great. So what I'm doing now is I have the original parent, which is the assessment. The question is part of the assessment. And now I've added another one that's the course. Let's make it a different course instead of the one we just did. Course XYZ. And same thing in the ID. Get a unique ID. All right, great. So looking at this, just quickly down here on the bottom, we've got our Testerson actor. Testerson's completing something. What are they completing? They're completing a question. Let me call that a question. Don't want to get the text messed up. That'll cause confusion. Question. There we go. So yes, they're completing this example question. This is in the context of some context activities. Parent. The first one is the assessment. So the question is part of the assessment. It's called assessment XYZ. And the second one in the array is the course. So remember, unlike the last example, we're not going to get a completed statement about the assessment. So I'm going to create a second parent that links us the whole way back up to the course. Remember when, before we did that, we had just a lingering assessment and it wasn't part of the course. We're trying to avoid that this time. So if I got the syntax correctly, let's try to send it. Looks like it worked. Double check our statement viewer. Great, we've got our new example question XYZ. If we open this up, we'll have the context parent. First one is the assessment. Second one is the course as expected. And if I did everything correctly, fingers crossed, we now have course XYZ. It has assessment XYZ, and that assessment has the question. So even though my assessment didn't communicate, we were able to link it up to course XYZ by adding that second parent. All right, so I know that is a bit of a technical topic. However, this actually comes up a lot if you want to make use of that Activity Explorer. It really helps to add that additional parent if you're not going to have a communicating level in your hierarchy. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and call this one for today. If you like this video, click subscribe and that thumbs up button. Thanks for watching and have a good one.